Hello everyone, I am Manali Reshamwala, Assistant Professor from LG Institute of Physiotherapy. Today I am going to talk about coronary artery bypass grafting part 2. In part 1, we have already discussed what is coronary artery bypass grafting, medical and physiotherapy management before coronary artery bypass grafting. Now we are going to see what is post-operative physiotherapy management. It is a part of syllabus for final year physiotherapy students of Gujarat University, and the subject is physiotherapy in cardiopulmonary conditions. Just to mark that any open heart surgery, the post-operative physiotherapy regime will be same as that of coronary artery bypass grafting. So today we are going to discuss in detail all the open heart surgery operations post-operative physiotherapy. So let's see first what is the post-operative assessment for such patient. Generally, first treatment will take place in ICU. Following points and charts should be noted or looked at for a patient once we see after surgery. 1. We need to write the type of operation. Suppose here we would write coronary artery bypass grafting. If person has done mitral valvotomy or valve replacement surgery, that should be mentioned. Incision. Which type of thoracotomy incision is being used? Most of the time for open heart surgery, median sternotomy incision is used. We also need to see incisions in the legs. Suppose for coronary artery bypass grafting, they would have taken vein grafts from the lower limb, that is from long saphenous or short saphenous vein. So we need to also check for the incisions in lower limb. If there are incisions present on any of the lower limb, we need to make sure about the movement. If we are doing, we have to be very gentle with those incisions. Next, color. If there is cyanosis or anemia, we can suspect. Next is we are going to see vitals, that is temperature, both central and peripheral, blood pressure through arterial tracer, then pulse rate and respiration. We need to see whether respiration is given artificially or patient is doing spontaneously. If patient is doing spontaneously, we need to check for rate and depth of respiration. And if patient is being given artificial ventilation, then we need to know the mode and other parameters of ventilator. Next is blood gases including pH, inspired oxygen percentages, that is PaO2, etc. should be checked. Then PEG cell volume and hemoglobin for anemia, and electrolytes should be checked, as these kind of patient may have very much blood loss during surgery. These of the things should be taken into consideration. Next is fluid chart. If oral fluid is allowed, sip of the water may be given to help moisten the mouth, and this will also aid in expectoration during physiotherapy treatment. Drug chart. Analgesia will be required before treatment, because if patient will be having pain at the level of incision, then patient will not be able to cooperate with us with any kind of breathing or chest mobility exercises. So analgesia should be given prior to treatment. Some patient may also require bronchodilators if they have bronchospasm. Next we are going to see is ECG leads, which are the area where they have placed ECG. Then chest x-ray, chest radiograph should be checked. If there is any kind of issues in the lungs, we need to resolve it through physiotherapy. Then drainage tube. These type of patient usually have two drainage tubes when they come out from the operation theatre. One is a pericardial and another is for anterior mediastinal. Sometimes patient may also have pleural drain if there is a chance of pleural effusion. Check should be made as to how much drainage there is and whether they are on a suction. That means whether a suction pump is used with the drainage tube or not. Next is position of other line should also be noted. These kind of patient may come with various lines like central lines, nasogastric tube, left arterial line, arterial line, then pulmonary arterial line, ECG leads, pacemaker wires, endotracheal tube, urinary catheter, intra-aortic balloon pump and its electrodes, and temperature probes. We need to find out the position of all these things, and while doing physiotherapy, we need to take care of these lines. Usually these kind of patient may have certain typical problem list post-operatively, and according to it we are going to have our physiotherapy management. So these kind of patient may have first of all pain, then decreased air entry in the lungs because of pain, retained secretion. Because of reduced air entry, patient may have retained secretions, reduced arm and leg movements, and decreased mobility. Some may have other problems like bronchospasm, peripheral neuropathy, hematoma, wound infection, or delayed healing, etc. Everything should be listed out, and according to it, treatment should be planned. For these problem list, we can have such a treatment plan. Like, first, to reduce pain, we will have to ensure the patient has adequate analgesia. For reduced air entry, we can give patient bilateral or unilateral deep breathing exercises, including inspiratory holds and sniffs in half lying, lying, or alternate side lying as necessary. We can also give IPPB, that is intermittent positive pressure breathing, if it is required. If patient is having less air entry, then through IPPB he has to just initiate or trigger the inspiration, and rest of the thing or rest of the deep breath can be given through machine. Third thing, that is, if patient is having retained secretions in the lungs, we can give unilateral posterior basal shaking, huffing and coughing with external support. Percussion after 48 hours if sputum is very tenacious. These kind of patient we usually come across pre-operatively, and pre-operatively only we make the patient understand these kind of problem list he may have, as well as we would teach him how to support incision during coughing or huffing techniques following operation. If we have already taught these things to the patient, then patient becomes much cooperative post-operatively. Next is unilateral active or assisted arm and leg exercises or active ankle exercises should be done to improve circulation as well as improve movement of the arm and leg. And to increase mobility, we can give mobility exercises as well as we can progress to stair climbing and exercises classes in a group. So let's have or look after a one post-operative regime from the day of operation till the discharge of the patient, so that we can get idea about how we can deal with the treatment day by day. So the post-operative regime will vary from patient to patient and from surgeon to surgeon. Some will request physiotherapy as soon as the patient is cooperative, and others will ask the patient not to roll for 24 hours. So most of the time we would not disturb the patient for at least 24 hours after operation. So no treatment is given on the day of operation. But on day 1, first treatment is given, usually in ICU. We should also arrange analgesia, so that we can reduce the pain and patient can do movement pain-free. We should check for good blood pressure, acceptable ECG and pulse rate. A normal potassium and steady drainage from the pericardial and anterior mediastinal drain should also be checked. Arm and legs exercises are given in half lying position on the day 1. As vein grafts may have been taken from a leg, it will be bended, but care must be taken to obtain good movement around those areas. Unilateral and bilateral deep breathing exercises including inspiratory holds and sniffs in half lying, lying or alternate side lying should be started on the day 1 only. Oxygen therapy should be continuously given throughout the treatment session, and it should only be removed for expectoration. Otherwise, oxygen therapy should be kept continuously on, and we must also check for the SpO2 level throughout the treatment. If there is a drop in that, we must stop the exercises and report it to medical officer. Returning to ward. If the patient is returning to ward shortly after the physiotherapy, if everything is normal, then he must be allowed to return to the wards. So he should then be set up and given a drink of water if allowed, as this will aid expectoration. Encouragement in huffing and coughing with Adequate sternal support should also be necessary. So in this figure, it has been shown in figure 1a, patient is using a pillow to support the anterior thorax during coughing or huffing technique, or he can also use both the hands without pillow to support incision site if the less movement would occur during coughing or huffing at the site of incision. Then it will promote healing of the sternal bone as well as prevent pain. Next is second treatment. Second treatment on the same day is given with the analgesia. Chart should also be checked. We should also check for sinus rhythm, and if there is an apex radial deficit, it should be noted. It may suggest some atrial fibrillation or some mediastinal shift, so it should be noted and confirmed to the medical officer. Side lying, we can give breathing exercises. Sitting with support of pillow should be also given in the second treatment. Foot and ankle exercises should be given in sitting, and use of bed rope should also be taught so that patient may feel much mobile with himself. Third treatment. Most patients will need a third treatment, and it is usually sufficient to treat them according to plan but in sitting. So most of the things we were doing in first and second treatment, we will repeat it in the third treatment, and we would encourage the patient to do exercises in sitting. Some of the self-assisted exercise should also be started if patient is cooperative enough. On the day 2, first treatment, any necessary analgesia should be organized and charts and radiographs should be checked. Oxygen therapy discontinued on the day 2 postoperatively. Sitting on a chair with support is allowed. Bandaging of the leg of the vein graft should be taken, and same exercise protocol as day 1 is repeated. In second treatment, we can add walking around the bed, and we can ask the patient to join for group therapy. On day 3, same protocol as day 2, walking is increased, chest physiotherapy according to auscultation and chest radiograph should be given, trunk bending exercises should be added, and arm exercises assisted by wind is allowed. From day 4 to 6, same protocol is being taken care. Twice a day physiotherapy treatment is given. We can increase walking up to 100 yards without shortness of breath, and stair climbing up and down should be practiced once before patient gets discharged. If patient does not have any kind of symptoms with any kind of exercise or any functional activity, he is being allowed to have discharge after 7 days. So list of home exercise for neck, shoulder, trunk and leg as well as ankle exercises should be given. Walking and other functional activities are also prescribed. Breathing exercise and coughing should be continued. Next follow-up is after 6 days of discharge. By that time, we would remove the stitch of the patient, and patient will have to come for routine checkup every 3 monthly for 1 year. Patient is not allowed to drive till 6 weeks. He can have back to light or part-time work after 2 months and heavy activity resumed after 3 months. Here are the references. Thank you so much.